You said you disagree with me on a lot of things. What would be like the number one main thing that you disagree with Brian Shapiro on? Something that I say all the
Oh,
time. What would be
oh,
that
oh,
number
oh,
one thing?
I'll tell you, and I'll put you to the test. It
Okay.
was when you were a COVID, and you wanted to put
Okay,
everyone
hold
in
on a
their
second.
hole.
Hold on a second. Let's talk about that. First of all, don't use the word Nazi on this show. Those are groups of people that killed 7 million Jews. I'm not a murderer, so don't call me a Nazi. I will not tolerate that. Number two, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Never have I once said on the air that I ever said that there should have been mandates and people should have been forced to get the vaccine. So, sir, with all due respect, you're lying. Sir, I need you to listen to me. That's the problem. People like you don't listen. First of all, don't call me a okay? That's absurd, okay? Number two, I never told people, in fact, I was against mandates. I never said that you should be forced to get a vaccine. So if you're the number one thing that you claim that you don't even know my position on it, or you don't bother to listen, with all due respect.
In your Holy Spirit, you did, man.
What do you mean in your Holy Spirit? What the hell does that mean? Either I believe it and I say it, or I don't, okay? Okay? Don't give me this.
But you said
okay,
it, man.
sir, I never said it once on the air because I never believe it. You're lying and you don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not lying.
Okay, then
not
I'll tell you what.
man.
I'll make you a.
I do my
Okay,
research,
here you go.
man.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you do your research. I'll tell you what. I'll make you $1,000 bet right now, but you won't take the bet.
I'm with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm going to take
You'll never pay me. Find me a point where I said that there should be mandates and everybody should be forced to get a vaccine. I've never said that
man,
okay, so you're wrong. Give me another example. You're wrong. Give me another example.
I'm not wrong.
Okay, you
I'm
are.
Wrong.
And by the way, why would you call me a Hey buddy, don't Brian me. I'm a Jewish guy and you called me a What the hell is wrong with you? Why don't you answer that question? What is wrong with you? I'm a Jewish person.
Go and re-listen, man.
I'm a Jewish.
I never said
you
that.
said COVID. What type of scumbag calls into a radio show and calls a Jewish person a? What the hell is wrong with you? Was that your Holy Spirit? Oh, I'm sorry. That must have been your Holy Spirit. Let me tell you something. You don't call into the show and lie. You don't call into the show and misrepresent my position. I've said it from day one. And by the way, I'm a guy who almost died of COVID. Okay, scumbag. I'm calling you a scumbag. You don't call into a show and call a Jewish person. And I never said that everybody should be forced to get the vaccine. I took the vaccine. I might have encouraged people to get the vaccine. I told people two things, which you fail to listen. I said, don't listen to me and don't listen to media people, or certainly don't listen to somebody like you. Listen to your personal physician and doctor, and then make a personal decision between you and your doctor. I've never said that everybody should be forced to get a vaccine. You have no idea what you're talking about. Don't use the word again. Give me another reason.
It was a metaphor. It was a metaphor.
Okay, well, take your metaphors and shove them up your because you're not going to call into this show again if you're going to say that. Now, give me another reason why you disagree with me, because you failed miserably the first time. What else do you disagree with me on? That's ha 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 ha. Use your Tucker Carlson laugh. Give me another reason. What else do you? And I don't. By the way, for the record, I like conversations where people disagree with me. What I don't like are people like you that misrepresent things that you thought that I said. So you failed. Give me another reason that's actually factually accurate of one of my positions that you disagree with.
I'm pretty solid in my dance, man. I mean, I like your strategy, but
what do you mean you're solid in your dance? That's not an opinion. Tell me something else that I disagree with, that you disagree with me on.
Well, I told you the first
We're past that because you lied.
You
lied and you misrepresented my position on the vaccines. So give me another one.
I never lie, Brian.
Yeah, sure. Okay. We're done with that, okay? You're not going to use the word again on this show, okay? Because that just makes you look bad. So I'm asking you for another example. Give me another example. Are you capable of giving me something that I've actually said on this show that you disagree with, or should I move on to the next caller?
Without doubt. You can do what you want. It's your show, man. You always
so give me another example. Man. Give me another example. I'm giving you an opportunity. Go.
Well, what I'm saying is let's talk about freedom, ultimate freedom, right?
We're not talking about ultimate freedom. Tell me something that you disagree with me on.
Say that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing, man.
Can you give me another example? Okay, go ahead. What did I say about ultimate freedom that you disagree with?
Well, mostly people on your side. I mean, you want to
what side am I on?
Into death.
What side am I on? What side am I on?
Well. What side am I on? I'm saying you lean left. right?
Okay, so
I lean right.
Okay, so are you going to be specific?
But I'm not aligned with them.
Okay.
Okay, hey, hang tough. Let me see if we can come into alignment.
I
and see if this
seriously,
makes sense.
seriously doubt
Hang
that.
tough. That's what you think, but
I
don't
didn't
think
ask
that
you.
way.
I
But
didn't
most of-
ask you. I didn't ask you about coming up with reasons for alignment. You started the show calling me a COVID. You misrepresented my position on the vaccines. You said you disagree with me on a lot of things. You literally haven't named one thing, one legitimate thing that you disagree with me on. Sir, are you just not smart enough to come up with something? I don't align. I don't care whether you think we align on something. The question wasn't the question, listen, dummy. The question wasn't what you think we align on. The question was, name me something that you disagree with me on that I've actually stated on the show. Are you not able to do that? You can't name one thing?
Oh, I'm able.
Then do it. I'm waiting.
Well, as I said before, I mean, you want to tax people into death, don't you?
I want to tax people into death. What the hell are you talking about? It's the opposite of that. I agree with lowering the taxes for middle-class families and America living paycheck to paycheck. I agreed with Kamala Harris's policies that if you're making under $400,000 a year, the taxes will lower to 28%. What the F are you talking about?
Let me ask you this, Brian.
Let me ask you,
exactly...
no. You're not going to ask me another question. You just said something else stupid. You just said that I want to tax people to death. Ha, 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 ha.
Wow.
Your stupid Tucker Carlson laugh. When did I ever say I wanted to tax people to death? What are my positions on taxes that would lead you to believe that, quote, I want to tax people to death? What the hell are you talking about?
Let me ask you one final point.
So you're not going to, no. You don't get to do one final point. Admit that you are wrong. We are going to stay on this issue. You still have yet to name one thing that you even disagree with me on that's factually accurate. You just said, quote, I want to tax people to death. I am asking you how you formed that conclusion and what I've said on this show that would lead you to believe that, quote, I want to tax people to death. Go.
Okay, I'm going now. What exactly is anti-Semitism, Ryan?
What does anti-Semitism have to do with taxing people to death? Can you not remain on topic, you dope? I'm going to ask you again. What did I say on this show? Shut up and listen. Hey, you just said, I want to tax people to death. I'm now asking you for a fourth time. What have I ever said on this show that would lead you to believe that I want to tax people to death? Please be specific and answer the question.
This one, man.
Answer the question.
You're not going to win this
Answer the question.
Well, it's in your brain.
What's the matter? All of a sudden you're developing a stutter? Answer the question. What have I said on this show?
I have no stutter. No, it's
Answer
in your
the question.
brain. I mean,
what's in my brain? What have I said? What have I said on this show? What have I said on this show that would lead you to believe that I want to tax people to death? I don't want to hear about you thinking what's in my brain, okay? I'm now asking you for a sixth time. You misrepresented my opinions on the vaccines. I asked you for another example, and you said I want to tax people to death. By the way, it's the opposite of that. I want to lower taxes for people that are struggling. You're not capable of listening, so I'm asking you one more time. What did I ever say on this show? I'll call you if I want to, and there's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do about it?
No, I mean,
it's in your brain. It's in your brain. It's in your brain, sir. Boy, what a dope this guy is. I can't get rid of him, though, because he's so stupid. What have I said on this show that would lead you to believe that I want to tax people to death? Why won't you answer my question?
Everyone sees you. Everyone sees you for what you are, you know.
Okay, so what does that have to do with my question? What does that have to do with my question? Okay, let's try one more time with this very ignorant man. You started let's review for a moment. You started the conversation by saying you disagree with me on a number of things. Okay, no problem. I don't have a problem with that at all. In fact, I would prefer that. I gave you the opportunity to lay it out for me. You said I was a COVID. I never told anybody that they should be forced to get the vaccines. In fact, I was against any mandates. So you're wrong about that. And then you embarrassed yourself, and I gave you another opportunity, and you said, I want to tax people to death. Now, obviously, that's not true, but I give you the opportunity to explain yourself, which you've been unable. So I'm going to give this one more try with a very ignorant man. What have I ever said on this show that would lead you to believe that I want to tax people to death? Now, if you made a mistake and you mischaracterized my opinion, then just admit it and say, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. And if you're not willing to admit you're wrong, then give me a reason why you feel that I want to tax people to death. Go.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, then you're a moron. Have a nice day. Get lost. Don't ever call back because you're an idiot.
Pete Hegseth, who's been in frontline battles himself.
Yep.
Don't you think you should have him on the show before you just automatic? He didn't say he didn't want women in the armed services.
He said he didn't want them on the battlefield, which is a ridiculous.
On the battlefield in combat.
Yeah. So first of all,
now, one more thing. Well,
hold on. Let me just respond.
Let me finish my point, and then you can answer. The Israeli army years ago, they had women on the front lines,
yes,
and
they
they
did.
pulled back from that.
Which I disagree with.
Back from that too.
Which I disagree with.
Okay,
so let's
you
pick.
know why they? Do you know why they did?
Hold on. Let me just respond to everything you've just said about Pete Hegseth. First of all, just because you were on the battlefield and you served this country doesn't mean you should be the Secretary of Defense. That doesn't mean you're qualified. That's number one. Number two, if we're going to talk about character and character flaws, Donald Trump is the guy who hired this man who cheated on his first wife with somebody he works with, cheated on his second wife and had a baby with a Fox News executive. Even worse, was accused of sexual assault and then paid off the woman to shut her up. We've now learned details that he paid her off in an out-of-court settlement to make the story go away. Guess what? That's not somebody that I want in one of the most powerful positions in this country. Now, going to what you said about women serving, there are plenty of women. And you've listened to people that have called into this show that have served, by the way. Plenty of women in this country that are more tough, mentally and physically, than men that are on the battlefield. Now, everybody should have to go through the same test, a physical and mental test. And if you're a female and you can pass that physical and mental test, then you should be allowed to serve on the battlefield just as much as any man can. If you can't pass the test or you want to make it more difficult, when it comes to the physical aspects of the test, then I'm okay with that. But if you can pass that test as a woman, you should be allowed to serve on the battlefield. And I'm not surprised, Herb, that a guy like Pete Hegseth, who has treated women terribly his entire life, would also make a ridiculous claim that he doesn't believe women should serve on the battlefield. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah. Well, okay. All I'm saying is that I think before you condemn him for having this position, you should get his comments on why he thinks that way.
So Pete Hegseth, okay, so let me comment on that. So first of all, as you know, Herb, because I think you've been listening to this show for a while now, I will invite...
A long time.
Good. Well, I appreciate that. I would invite anybody on this show that I disagree with. I can guarantee you Pete Hegseth would never do this show. Not because I don't have the listenership, nothing to do with that, or the platform. He doesn't want to get into a debate with somebody before he's even put in that position officially. He would never do it, okay? And it's unfortunate, right? I will at least give Robert F. Kennedy Jr. credit for doing this show and others that have come on the show. The next press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, did do this show, and I will at least give her credit for that. But if the standard is we can't criticize people because they don't come on my show, I totally disagree with your position on that, okay? O.J. Simpson never did my radio show, but I still called him a double murderer, and he doesn't have to come on my show. He's dead now, but he doesn't have to come on my show to prove that. Donald Trump has never done my show before. He never will, okay? But Donald Trump, I can still criticize him and policies and the way he's lived his life, and I don't think Pete Hegseth needs to come on my show to defend. I would love for him to come on my show. I would love to have a conversation with him about this, but I don't think he has to come on my show first in order for me to criticize him, Herb. I think that's very unfair.
Okay.
All right, Herb. I appreciate your call. Thank you for calling into the show. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I think Herb, I finally got Herb speechless. All right, who are we going to do next?
And correct you on something that you've said a couple of times that's already been proven not to be true by even Snopes.
What's that?
Well, in J.D. Vance's book, he never talks about a couch, Brian.
I never
even mentioned.
I never said in his book he talked about a couch. I was making a joke. What's wrong with you? Don't you have a sense of humor? Do I really think that?
Well, it's kind of like
do I really? No. Hold on.
Like the golden shower thing with Trump.
Hold on.
Y'all have perverted in your mind.
So first of all, don't talk to me about perversion when you support the guy who has unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after his wife has a child. And hold on, I'm not done yet. the guy who bragged about going into 15 and 16-year-old female locker rooms when he ran pageants. By the way, Donald Trump went on the Howard Stern show. Hold on. Donald Trump went into locker rooms when he ran pageants and bragged on the Howard Stern show about going into locker rooms with 16-year-old girls naked. Would you call that perverted? Yes or no? It's a very simple question.
Did we know about that in 2016? I think we knew about that in 2016.
Excuse me. I didn't ask you.
Yeah,
sir,
we did.
Patrick, I need you to focus, okay? I didn't ask you when we knew about it. That wasn't the question. The question was, would you consider being perverted when somebody brags about going into female locker rooms, pageants of teenagers? Yes or no?
When they're getting dressed.
I'm asking you a question and I'd like an answer. Do you think that's perverted?
No, not at all, Brian.
It's not. Okay, got you. Yeah, you're very. Hold on, Patrick. You see, you're very fair, Patrick. So going into locker room. No.
I got a question.
You're gonna wait before your stupid question. You call into this show and I make a joke about J.D. Vance sexually assaulting couches, which is obviously a joke. I don't believe he's sexually assaulting couches, and I actually think it's funny. And we're not joking about sexually assaulting women. That would be wrong because there's nothing funny about that. But you think that's inappropriate and you think that's perverted. Okay, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. I disagree with you. But then when I ask you something in real life, the orange turd who you support, and he openly bragged on the Howard Stern show about going into female locker rooms of teenagers. He also said that they were getting dressed and some of them were naked, and they, quote, let him do it because he ran the pageant, and he bragged about it on the Howard Stern show, but that's not perverted. Patrick, when I call you a hypocrite and an idiot, that's why. Why can't you just say, you know what, that's inappropriate and that's wrong? You think it's okay for somebody to go into a locker room with teenage girls that are undressing, and you can't admit that that's perverted? What the hell is wrong with you?
All right, can I make a statement, Brian?
When you answer my question and answer it honestly and stop trying to, I don't know if you're trying to be funny, because it's not funny. What if that was your daughter? Do you see anything wrong at all with somebody not given permission when the girls don't know, going into a female locker room when they're undressing? Are you okay with that? Answer the question, yes or no. And don't try to be funny about it.
Why does it even matter if I'm okay with it?
Why won't you answer the question, you frickin' MAGA coward? Answer the question, and I'm going to ask it one more time. And if you don't answer it honestly, I'm going to move on to the next caller. Because it's okay to have differences of opinions. I don't mind that at all. And then I'll let the conversation continue. But you are going to answer this question, because now this is the 5th time I've asked it. You were so upset that I made a joke about J.D. Vance sexually assaulting a couch. That got you so upset that you used your little MAGA fingers to call in. I'm going to ask you one more time, and you better answer honestly, because I'm going to lose a lot of respect for you if you don't. Not that I had any respect for you to begin with. Donald Trump owned pageants. In this case, it was a teen pageant. And without getting permission from any of the girls that were undressing, he went in there. How do we know this? Not only eyewitnesses and women that have talked about it, that at one time were teenagers, but Trump bragged about it on the Howard Stern show. So I will ask you one more time. Are you okay with, and do you think it's appropriate for somebody to go into a female locker room, teenage girls that are undressing, and for that person to go in there because they own the pageant, to look at teenage girls naked and then gloat about it? Are you okay with that, Patrick, or do you think that's inappropriate or perverted, as you would say?
It's not a concern to me, Brian. It happened over 20 years ago.
Then get lost. Oh, okay, because it happened 20 years ago, it's not a concern to you. Patrick, you're a MAGA deplorable coward is what you are. So if something happened 20 years ago, you're okay with it. So if somebody got prosecuted for rape, it happened 20 years ago, so you're okay. So I'm sure you're okay with all the rapes that Bill Cosby committed. As long as it happened 20 years ago, it's okay. Patrick, you're a complete idiot. You call into this show, and you have a problem with me making a joke about J.D. Vance sexually assaulting couches. You think that's inappropriate. But yet you're okay with your MAGA turd rapist leader going into locker rooms with teenage girls that are naked without getting permission to do so. As long as it happened 20 years ago, you're not concerned with it. That's okay. But if a radio host makes a joke about J.D. Vance sexually assaulting a couch, which was a joke, by the way, that's inappropriate. Patrick, you're an idiot. You're a MAGA deplorable. And I caught you. 702-221-7.
Yo, it's MAGA Patrick. Hey, I just wanted to call and give a shout out to Alex Jones for getting his radio show back, and appears he's back on the air, fighting the info wars, fighting the good fight. And
Sure, let me ask you about that. Let me ask you about that.
Did not advocate for him as far as free speech and his ability to question official narratives. He did nothing wrong. He broke no laws. There was no reason
let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
For $1 billion.
Okay,
He was
Patrick.
sued for $1 billion.
Okay, understood.
$1 billion.
Understood. Let's talk about that. So my question to you would be this. Do you see nothing wrong with somebody with a huge platform after a bunch of innocent 8 and 9-year-old kids were going on your show, website, whatever you want to call it, and saying that the school shooting didn't happen and the narrative was they were actors, and then parents in public, some videos of it, by the way, going up to these parents saying that they were actors, and these parents directly getting death threats and getting harassed, still grieving the loss of their kids, by the way, proven in a court of law. They were harassed and they received death threats because of the words of Alex Jones. So are you telling me that Alex Jones has no responsibility to that, and you're okay with Alex Jones going on his show saying that a school shooting didn't happen? Patrick, is that your position?
I'm an advocate of free speech.
Free speech only pertains to government. No. False answer. Free speech pertains to government when it comes to a public sidewalk, not a private business. Free speech does not pertain to a private business. For example, if I gave out your address on the air today, and I would never do that, and if I told people to go to your house and commit a crime, which I would never do, that's not free speech. That would be against the law. Why? Because if somebody went to your house and committed a heinous crime because they heard something that I said on the radio, I should be partially responsible for that. Patrick, do you not agree that if I went on the air and I gave out your address, hypothetically speaking, which I would never do, and I told people to go to your house and commit a crime, which I would never do, and people did that, are you saying that I shouldn't be held responsible to a degree? Is that what you're saying?
Brian, that's illegal to do that. And that's
well, I thought it was free speech. I thought it was free speech, though. Whatever happened to free speech? Is it legal to threaten people? Is it legal to send death threats to people?
Right.
Is it legal to harass people?
He never called those people. He never told anybody
You don't.
to go
Okay,
after
so
those
here's
people.
how the law works, and here's how you can be liable. Because Patrick, I think you're struggling to understand. Thank you, by the way, for at least agreeing. It's not free speech, and you can't say whatever you want on a show. So we finally agree there, and I got you to admit that because that's a very important part of this. If you say things about people that are not true, in this case, the children were actors, and those children were not truly killed, and the parents and children are actors, which is a blatant lie, and it's defamation, claiming that everybody did a phony shooting to release a narrative about gun control. That's what Alex Jones did. That's called something called defamation. You're not allowed to do that. And by the way, during defamation cases, which was proven in a court of law, there has to be damages. The damages were these parents that were still grieving, so many of them who testified, and there's evidence and proof, which was presented in a court of law, that Alex Jones' statements caused them pain, caused them grief, caused them death threats, caused them harassment. That's what defamation is, and there's punitive damages. Patrick, why is it so hard for you not to understand that as I lay it out factually? Why is that so hard for you to understand?
You understand that the judge found him guilty, not the jury, right? The jury is only responsible for
do you understand that in a
accountable
court
for over
do you understand Okay, Patrick, do you understand that in a court it was proven based on the evidence that these families had punitive damages because they were harassed, even death threats were sent to some of them directly because of the comments that Alex Jones made? Do you disagree with that? Forget about the judge for a moment. Forget about all your opinions on Alex Jones for a moment. Do you agree with me, at a minimum, that the statements that Alex Jones made about them being actors and not real led to direct threats to those families? Do you agree with that at least? Yes or no? Let's start there, and then we'll continue.
He's not responsible for
I
other
didn't
people's
ask you. I
actions,
didn't
Brian.
ask you responsibility. You're getting ahead of me. I'm trying to agree on the most basic things. Otherwise, we can't continue the conversation. Do you agree with me that it was proven that the statements that Alex Jones made directly on his show about it being a possible actors and an acting job, led to some of those family members receiving death threats and harassment? Yes or no? Please answer the question.
Alex Jones didn't write a book on it. There was.
I didn't ask you if I didn't. The question wasn't whether Alex Jones wrote a book on it. It's interesting because I have to ask the same question to you morons 4 or 5 times. And Patrick, you seem to make a habit of this, so I'll ask it again. I didn't ask you about a book. I didn't even ask you about responsibility. It's a very direct question, and I will try to ask it one last time and see if you're capable of answering a very basic question, which you simply struggle to do. It's not about a book. It's not about anything else. Patrick, I'll ask you one more time. Please pay attention. I have to talk to you like a school child. Patrick, Mega Patrick, whatever you want me to call you, Patrick. Do you agree, yes or no, that some of the statements that Alex Jones made on his show about the Sandy Hook shooting being fake and they were actors did lead to some of the death threats and some of the harassment that some of the parents received? Yes or no?
You have no way to prove that. No.
Have a nice
I'm
day,
saying
Patrick.
no.
You're a complete idiot. Have a nice day. Actually, there is a way to prove it because there's videos and audio, and the people that committed those threats, there were police reports that were made, and in those interviews with some of those people that gave death threats to the families said they heard it on Alex Jones. So you're 100% wrong. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, and that's why we call you dumbass MAGA Patrick. Have a nice day.